Hello, my name is Mr. 23 and today I'm going to explain you how I created this fantasy design. So let's begin. So let me tell you from the start of this video that I was inspired by Atomic Art in creating my design. He is a really nice guy and a good friend and his works are amazing. He creates like 2 designs per day. I don't know how he has the time for it, but he says that he's not talented, he's obsessed, but let me tell you that this guy is really talented and his imagination is just crazy. So if you didn't follow him until now, you should follow him because his work is just amazing. Before starting this video, I must say that this is not a beginner's tutorial, it's an intermediate advanced one. It can be followed by beginners of course, but they need to know the basic Photoshop functions. First image that I'm going to use is this picture and I added a mask and masked the bottom part. Then on top of it I added another picture, this one, which it looks like that. I place it on top and then I added a mask and I have changed the blending mode to linear dodge. Then I added a new layer, and with the layer set to color, I have manually painted with some pink red color on top of that sky picture that I had. So let me explain you how to do that yourself. Create a new layer, then set the blending mode to color, then take the brush tool or press the letter B and choose a color. Let's say some reddish color, something like that, and don't forget to change the flow to something around 10%. Then choose a soft brush. You can paint on the parts that you want to bring that color to that area. Then I double click on the layer and I wanted to disperse that red color more, and I use the blend. The blend diff is this here from the layer properties, and you must hold Alt and drag the right slider to the right, and if you look on the top you'll see that that red color disperses more on the background, and this is what we want, and then hit OK. And then I did the same thing. I created another layer and this time I have painted with other colors, and the blending mode this time I set it to overlay. Then I did the same thing. I created another layer and painted with a blue color and set the blending mode to color dodge. Then at the end I did the same thing with the overlay. I have painted a bit of red again on the sides of my sky. The colors that I use in this part of the video are not that important. You can use your own colors if you want, but it's important to learn how to create. Then I added this hue and saturation adjustment layer because I wanted to change a bit the tones of my blue colors. So here on the hue and saturation properties, I decrease a bit the hue to the left because I wanted to change those values of my blue colors. Then on top of everything, I added the same layer that I had used here, this one. I added again on the top, and this time the blending mode was set to screen. On the top right part, I added this planet. So this is the planet that I used. It's set to screen. Normally it looks like that. So I set the blending mode to screen. This is really important. When you have pictures with a dark background and you set the blending mode to screen, it hides the dark values, the black values, and it will keep only the light values. So in our case, it will look like that if you change the blending mode to screen. Then I added a mask and I wanted to hide that planet between those let's say cloud. Then I added a selective color adjustment layer, and I have changed the properties to have my planet with a reddish pink value. And then I added brightness and contrast, and I have decreased the brightness and increased the contrast to have my planet a bit darker. I wanted to have some glows on the planet, so with the color dodge and the blend diff I have painted with some pink color on the surface of the planet. Alright, so it's the same method. You create a new layer and be sure that the blending mode is set to color dodge. Then with let's say this red color or a more pinkish color, this one, if you paint on top of the planet, you'll see that it will add that color. And of course it is too intense, so we need a blend diff. Double click on the layer, then hold Alt and drag the right slider from the left to the right. And then on top I have added another one, but this time the blending mode was set to lighten. So here in the center of our image, I have created myself a planet. A few weeks ago I explained you in my Do It Better tutorial how to create planets. So this is really easy. You should follow that tutorial, and in 2 minutes you can learn how to quickly create your own planet. The important thing here, because I have a lot of dark values, dark colors to my image, I will set the blending mode to screen. And now it looks really different. And I added a mask and masked the top left part. I added a hue and saturation, and I decreased the saturation and increased the hue to blend better my planet with the background. Then I have added a bit of glow with the layer set to color dodge, so I painted with a blue color on top of the planet. I just explain you how to do it. And of course I have added this blend diff to the layer that I created, and then I have added this little glow. Let me quickly explain you how to create this really nice glow to the side. So double click on the image with the planet, this layer, and then go to outer glow, and you'll see this glow around the planet. Be sure that the blending mode is set to linear dodge, and we are going to change a bit the color to something like a white color, something like that. And of course you can play around with the size depending on what you want. Let's say something like that. Hit OK. And now one trick is to right click on the effect, so exactly where the outer glow says here on the right, choose create layer, and it will create something like that. Of course it looks weird, don't worry about it. Let's drag it on top of the planet, this layer, and now hold Alt, and it will add an inverted mask, so everything is gone from the screen. So we need to take the brush tool and change the color to white. And now if we are painting with white on the sides of the planet, it will bring back the glow only on that side of my planet. Alright, and then I have added another small outline to my planet on the left, so this one. Let me quickly show you how to do this. It's another method. So create a new layer, and on this newly created layer, hold Ctrl and click on the planet, and now we have this selection. Now take the marquee tool, the rectangular marquee tool, right click, and you need a stroke. Here on the stroke you can use the 2 pixel width, and the color should be white. Hit OK, and you'll see this really nice outline on the planet. We are going to do the same thing. Hold Alt and click on the mask, and now with the brush tool and the white color, if you paint on the sides, you'll see that outline on the planet. Now let's take care of the mountain part. Now that we have finished with the planets and the galaxies, let's move on in adding the middle of our design, which is the mountain. So we have this picture with this mountain, and I wanted to have the bottom part a bit bigger, so I duplicated this layer into this one. So I created another one, I made it bigger, and I drag it underneath our mountains layer, so this one, right? And I place this one, which is bigger, only to have this extension of our river, to have more space here in the bottom part. Then I have added a mask, and I have masked the bottom area. And then what I did next was to add this mountain. I don't know if you saw that yet, but underneath all my videos you'll see a join button. So that means that my channel was approved to join the YouTube membership program. Do not worry, everything on this channel will remain the same, nothing will change. I will continue to post until now or even more. However, there will be exclusive perks for our members only. You'll get early access to the new videos, so you can see them before anyone else. You can see my posts before I publish them on Instagram, for example, or anywhere else. You get access to special loyalty badges and access to some special emojis that you can use during our live chat. For the moment it's just one membership level, but in the future I would like to add more membership levels, for example to give you access to my PSD files, exclusive content, or we can do like one-on-one live session to answer your questions and to help you with your design or whatever. As I said, nothing will change on this channel, but if you want to support me and my work, feel free to click that join button. Of course, the mountain doesn't look like that. I use the warp tool to make it look like that. So let me quickly teach you how to create this shape. So this is the layer, right? This is the original picture with the rocks, and with the pen tool I have selected only this part of the picture, and then I have added a mask, right? So I think you know how to do this. And now if you want to warp it, you need to right click and then convert it to a smart object, so it can be easily warped and manipulated. Alright, so we have this picture with the rocks, then press Ctrl T and then right click and choose warp. So the easiest way is just to drag to the left, for example, and then on the top part you can drag it again, and here on the left you can twist it, and so on. Now if I'm you see, if I'm pressing Ctrl, and it will add that bluish those bluish lines on the screen. So now if I click once, it will add that point here in the middle. And if I play around, you see, if I drag this line, this guide to the left, it will add that twirl to my rocks. So you can, you know, create any shapes that you want. It is just amazing. This warp tool makes wonders. So right, this is what I did. Then I press enter, press Ctrl T again and make them a bit smaller. I place them on the top of my mountains. Then I have added a mask and mask the bottom area by using the brush and the black color. So I just painted on the bottom part and masked that area. This is how I blend the rocks with my mountain. And then because our original rocks have a different texture than our mountains, what I did next is I took the same picture, this one, so I duplicated this picture by pressing Ctrl J and drag it on top of this rock, on those rocks. Then I press Ctrl T to make it bigger, something like that, and place it on top of our mountains. And then I hold Alt and click between the layers to add this mountain inside the layer with the rocks. And then I place it where I thought that it fits better our design, something like that. And then I hold Alt and click on the mask and adds an inverted mask. So now if we are painting with the white color, okay, let's zoom in. If we are painting, let's say here, with the white color, it will blend the mountain better with my rocks texture. Of course, this needs some time. You should switch between black and white to blend better the mountain with the rock. So this is the left part. I did the same thing on the right side. So the same picture. So this is the layer, the same layer, but this time I didn't warp it to the left. I warp it to the right. So let me quickly show you on this one. I convert it to a smart object so I can move it around. Press Ctrl T, and then right click and choose warp. And on the first one I did it, I push it to the left. Now I push it to the right and it looks really different. So I did this, I push it to the right and move it a bit to have this shape. So this is how I created this shape, and as I just showed you, I copied again the same texture, the same picture with the mountains, and I added inside this layer with the rocks, and I just used the mask to mask some parts, and here it is. It looks really nice. In the back of those mountains and the rocks, I have added again the same mountains, so the same layer, right? Let me show you. So the same layer that I have had it here on the right, I flip it horizontally and I move it to the left. Okay, and I have decreased the opacity to 30%, and inside I have placed a color fill to change the color to this bluish color, and a selective color, and I have decreased a lot the magenta and increased the cyan. I did the same thing here on the right side. I copied the same layer that I had in front, and I have grouped everything into one group. So everything here, it's in one group because I need to apply some settings to the whole group. First thing that I'm going to do is add in an exposure and make everything darker. So here with the exposure, I have decreased the exposure a lot, and then I have added some dodge and burn, this soft light method that I am using a lot in my tutorials. So if you don't know how to do this, it's really easy. You should create a new layer by going to layer, new layer, and here the mode should be soft light and fill it with 50% gray. Now with the brush tool and the black color, if we are going to paint with the black color, you'll see that it will darken some parts, and it will keep some parts like the way they were, and I needed to have these darker parts in my mountains to blend the rocks and the mountains even better. And then with the color balance, I have played a bit with the midtones and with the shadows. I have modified a bit the settings to have these bluish greenish colors in my design. We have the light that comes from this direction, right? So we need to have those rim lights on those sides. So now if we are painting with the blue color on the mountains, don't forget the flow should be around 10%, right? The flow of the brush, and the brush should be soft light. And now if I'm painting, you'll see that it will add some really nice glows, highlights, let's say highlights to our mountains, that bluish color. And now our mountains they will look much better because they will have some light on them, because of course we need to take care of the environment, and if we have some light sources, we need to think about where those light sources are casting the lights. Alright, so this is how I created this blue reflection, these blue highlights. And then I did the same thing, right? And then I did the same thing and I painted with the magenta color, because I wanted to have some magenta that it will come from the sky, let's say. And then with the white color I did the same thing, so with the white color without blend diff, so I didn't apply the blend diff, and I did those small rim lights on the sides. And then on top of the mountains, with the color dodge, I have painted with some blue color to make some glow. So this is really easy. Create a new layer and change the blending mode to color dodge. Take again this bluish color. Okay, so now if we paint with this blue color, it will add some nice reflections, some nice glows on our mountains. And then double click and use the blend diff, because we don't want that glow to be that intense. Okay, so now is the time for the reflection, because we have made the top part and now we need to have it reflected in the water. But later on I have added some birds that now are not on the sky, so let's bring the birds back. I have explained in another tutorial how to create a water reflection, so in this tutorial I won't spend that much time to teach you that. You should follow that tutorial. Let's press Ctrl Alt Shift and I to create a screenshot of everything that we have so far. Then right click and convert it to a smart object. Then what I did next was pressing Ctrl T and right click and flip it vertically. And I drag it a bit to the bottom, let's say until this area. I press the numbers of my keyboard, so if I press 2, it will add opacity of 20%. If I press 1, it will add opacity of 10%. Alright, so this helps me to know where I should have my reflection. So let's press another number like 5. So now I think here it should be our reflection, and then if you press 0, it will add 100% opacity back. So now I need to apply that displacement map that I explained in my previous tutorial. I'm going to filter, then distort and displace. So I'm going to keep 10 and 10 on the horizontal and vertical scale, hit OK. And then I will use the displacement map that I have already created, and it will add that reflection, that really nice reflection into my water. And then I have added a mask, of course, by holding Alt. And now if I'm painting with the white color, it will add that part to my design where I'm painting with the white color. So now my design looks like that. It's really nice that we have the reflection and looks much better because it is more natural like that. I have added another layer, which is motion blur. So go to filter, blur, and here choose motion blur. And on the motion blur, the angle that I used was 84 and the distance was 50 pixels, and added some blur, movement blur to my image, and it looks much better like that. Then I have added an exposure adjustment layer and made the bottom part darker. So I have added this picture with the little bridge, and I have added a mask, and it looks like that. If you are wondering why we have those flowers, because we didn't have them here, it's really easy. It's just a brush. I'm going to explain you now. So now we are going to select with the lasso tool, we are going to select this area, for example, and then I'm going to hold Alt and click on the mask, and we have this weird selection for the moment. And now if I'm taking the brush tool and I have this Grass Photoshop brushes pack, and we are going to search for one with some flowers, let's say this one for example, and decrease the size of the brush. And now if the color is set to white, for example, and you are painting here, you'll see that it will add those flowers to your selection. And of course you can change the brush not to have the same pattern in one after another. So this is how I selected this part of the bridge. So when I created this selection with the brush, it had this color from the water, you see, from the waves. So because the brush came and bring back this part of the waves, we have this bluish color on our flowers. So I have painted with the white color here on this area to have the same colors on our flowers. And then I have added an exposure, adjustment layer, and made everything even darker, and now it looks much better. And then with that soft light I made the bottom part darker, and with the selective color I have changed the colors to the neutrals and made everything in the same color tones with the rest of the image. And then with this linear dodge that I just show you on the mountains part, on those parts, I have painted with a blue color and made the top part bluish. And then I have painted a bit the flowers with a hue and saturation layer. So because now our flowers look really weird because they have the same color, I have added a hue and saturation layer. So add a hue and saturation layer and press colorize and choose, let's say, this yellow color, right? And then invert the mask by pressing Ctrl and I. And now if you paint with the soft light brush, with the white color of course, you can change the colors of your flowers where on the top part, for example. Right, and then I did the same thing and added some other color, some orange color this time, by using the same hue and saturation. And then I added brightness and contrast and decreased the brightness to minimum. And here on the bottom part of our flowers I decreased the colors because they were too intense, and with this brightness and contrast they look much better now. Alright, and next, what I did next was adding some hue and saturation to make the grass even greener, because now it had this really gray look and I didn't really like it. So I added a new hue and saturation, press again colorize, and added a really nice green color, something like that. And then press Ctrl and I on the mask, and with the brush tool and the white color selected, if you paint with the flow around again 10%, you'll bring back that green that you selected in the hue and saturation to your grass. What I did next was decreasing the lights only on the wood part of our bridge by adding a hue and saturation and decreasing the saturation and the lightness. And now let's add our guy on the bridge. So we have this picture with this guy. We need some shadows underneath him, so I used an exposure to create this shadow underneath his feet. If you want to learn how to do this, add an exposure, adjustment layer, decrease the exposure a lot, something like that. And of course then press Ctrl and I to invert the mask. And if you zoom in and take the brush tool now, and with the white color, if you paint underneath his feet, this is the contact shadow, so you need a very strong shadow here underneath his feet, something like that. And you can change by right clicking, you can change the shape of this soft brush by dragging the top point to the bottom, and then you have this oval shape. And this is better in those cases because you need some angle to this shadow. Alright, so this is the contact shadow. And then what I did next was adding the bigger shadow, which in our case was creating a new layer, and hold Ctrl and click on the layer with the man. Take the brush tool and the soft light, hold Alt and pick a color from the background which is dark, and then you'll see that this color is here on the color swatches. Hold Alt and press backspace, and it will add that color to your layer. Alright, and then press Ctrl T and right click and flip vertically, and drag this shadow underneath his legs, and press Ctrl T again and drag the corners to the left corner, left bottom corner to the left, and find a good perspective to your shadow, and then double click and change the blending mode to multiply, and change the opacity to around 20 or 30%. You need to add some motion blur to this shadow, so go to filter, blur and motion blur, and we can use some smaller distance here, something like 41, and the angle should be like 60%, something like that, and then hit OK. Right, so this is his shadow. You can add a mask if you want, and with the brush, the black color, you can paint on the part that is far away from him, and you can hide that part of the shadow. And then the next thing that I did was drawing some hair. So I drew some hair on his head. And if you don't know how to do that, check out one of my previous tutorials where I explain how to draw the hair. And then I have placed him and the hair layer inside the group, and on this group I have made some changes. First of them was exposure to make him darker, so I have decreased the exposure a lot, and then a selective color and change his colors. These are the settings from the selective color. And then with this linear dodge, I have added some bluish reflections, rim lines to the sides. I just show you on the mountain part how to do this. And then with another one, I have painted on the sides with the bluish color without the blend diff this time. And then at the end with the white color, I have painted on the sides those white rim lines. And then on the hair part, I did some highlights also. I have painted with some white color after I finished with everything. So now our guy looks much better with the background. And here on top of our mountains, I have added some clouds. This is a technique that I tried for a long time to learn from Phase Runner, because he does it a lot in his tutorials, but because he's doing speed arts, was really hard to learn it quickly, so it took me some time, but at the end I learned it. So because I made this design like a few months ago, I didn't really remember which were the photos that I have used to create those clouds, but I will show you the technique. Is the same thing if you are using another picture with another clouds. So we have this picture with the clouds, so we need to select the clouds, and the easiest way is to go to select and use color range. And now here on the color range, if we are selecting a color, if we are just clicking on the sky part, you'll see that here on the black viewfinder, you'll see that those white parts will change. So we need to decide which parts of the clouds we are selecting. So for example, I'm going to select this area in the center here, and then I'm going to press OK. So it selects this part of our clouds. I don't need the part here from the sea, from the water, so I'm going to take the lasso tool, hold Alt and deselect this area by holding Alt, and this area here I don't need it. So now we selected a part of our clouds, press Ctrl C to copy this part. Let's get back now to our design. And now if I'm pressing Ctrl V to paste that part that I copied, we have these weird parts of our sky. Now we need to make some changes. First of all, I'm going to filter and then blur and choose Gaussian blur. And let's set the radius to around 12%. And the blending mode to screen. Then press Ctrl T, and I'm going to shrink this image with the clouds, and I'm going to hold Shift and drag it to the bottom. And now as you can see, our clouds look much better, but they are too white, so we need to change their color. The one easy way to do that is by using solid color. So add a solid color, and let's say we are going to choose this color, and hold Alt and click between the layers to add it inside your cloud image, right? And then if you think this color doesn't fit with the rest of the background, double click on the thumbnail, and here you can change the color by using a color from the foreground, or you can change it from here depending on the rest of the image. In our case, let's say that this is okay, and our clouds look nice now. We need to add a mask and to mask some parts of the clouds. So with the black color and the opacity again to 100%, if we are painting around, you'll see that I'll make those clouds a bit transparent and they look much better now. So this is the technique. Doesn't matter if you have another picture with the clouds, is the same thing. you just need to use your own images, not because if I use the same image with the clouds that I cannot find in this moment, for sure that I'll create other selection for the clouds part, because you know I can never do the same thing twice. If I work in Photoshop, for sure that each time I open an image I will edit in another way. And then in the front I have used this image with those flowers. I have added a Gaussian blur to make it blurry, and then I added an exposure to make it darker, so decrease the exposure, and with the soft light that I just showed you, I made this part even darker. So when I finished this design, I felt that it needed something extra. I really love it like the way it is now, but I wanted to add something more. So I thought, why not adding a dolphin in the water? So I'm not going to explain you step by step how I created this part with the dolphin, but I'm going to show you the layers anyway, because I want to speed up this video. From what I've seen from my YouTube analytics, the average view time is like 2 minutes on my videos, or around 3 minutes. So imagine that if I make a tutorial or a video that it's 1 hour long, people will look like 3 minutes at it, and this it's not really okay for me, because I work a lot to create really interesting tutorials and to teach you my methods. So maybe this will change in the future. People will spend more time in watching my tutorials, but for now I try not to get you bored. So I started with this image with the dolphin, and then I have selected this part of the picture with the dolphin. I have added color changing here with the selective color to have those blue tones matching better with my background. Then I have added some more water splashes. I have those water splashes from Neostock. I'm going to give you the link. They're amazing. They change my speed when I do my designs, those stocks from Neostock. And then I have added some color changes again with this hue and saturation set to colorize to blend our dolphin better with the design. And I decreased the brightness. And then by using the same method that I just explained you in almost all my tutorials, I have added some highlights on the top part, and then the white ones at the end, and on top some glow, this small glow that I drew with the blue color, and set the blending mode to color dodge. And because our dolphin needed that water reflection, I have added the water reflection. By using the same thing, I created a screenshot. So this is the screenshot, and then I applied this place to the whole image, and I have placed it underneath the dolphin and selected only that part, and the blending mode I set it to screen, and now our dolphin has a reflection in the water also. Then I added my Mr. 23, my 23 number on his backpack, and my Mr. 23 here on the bottom. And then I have used a technique that I'm going to teach you in another tutorial. This magic that I used here, right? So this magic that the dolphin has is a really interesting way in creating it. I'm going to show you, as I said, in another tutorial, but this is created by using the dolphin, nothing else, and it's really amazing what you can do with that method. There isn't that much time now to teach you that magic thing. As I said, I'm going to explain this in a new tutorial where I'm going to take my time, because this is really nice and everyone can apply it to their images. Okay, so then at the end I use the camera raw to change the overall colors to my picture. So press Ctrl Shift and I to create another screenshot, and then right click on the image, convert it to a smart object, and then go to filter and choose camera raw filter. So in the camera raw filter, those are the settings that I have. You can use your own, you can copy my settings, it's just up to your mood at that moment. And then on the detail part, I added a lot of sharpening, noise reduction, color noise reduction, and on the color mixer I have played a bit with the blues. Here on the saturation I decreased the blues because the blues were too intense. That's it, that's everything that I did here. On the effects I added a bit of grain, I don't know if you see it, and at the end I have modified a bit the colors. So I had a problem with the blues. I decreased the hue and the saturation in my blues, and then press OK. So this is the end of this layer breakdown of my design. I hope that you understood how I created it. If you are going to create something similar by following my tutorial, please tag me on your Instagram account. I would love to see your creations, and I'm already proud of your works because I had a lot of messages from people that created artworks by following my tutorial, so thank you again for that, and I cannot wait to see your results after you are going to follow this tutorial. So thank you so much again. So if last week my tag Mr.22 review had like 70 posts, now we have like almost 200 posts. There are a lot of people that use my tag now because they want their work to be mentioned in my videos. So this is really nice and I would like to thank you for that. Don't forget to use my Mr.23 tag whenever you post your work on Instagram, and let me tell you that I see all those works because I'm notified whenever this tag is used. So keep on doing that, and for sure your work will be featured in my videos. So for today's feature I will choose this artist. So the nominated artist for today's feature is Walid, I think that's the name, and I love his style. This design is really nice. I looked on his account and he has a lot of interesting designs, so be sure that you are following him also. He has only 45 followers, but his work is really nice. I mean, look at also this one. It's like a painting style, and yeah, I love his style. And for sure he will grow really fast in the future because he has a lot of talent. So if you want to be featured in my next videos, don't forget to use the tag Mr.23 review, and I will look on all those posts and choose one for my next video. So thank you so much for watching my tutorial today. Don't forget that next week I will make another contest, my second episode from the Do It Better, and I cannot wait to see your works. Don't forget that last time I had more than 100 designs in my contest, and I don't know what will happen next, but I'm sure that you are really curious to see what's the next week's theme. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment to this video, and see you next time.